Mo is a practicing orthodontist in Massachusetts, and he created a bill called the Dental Ballot. And in Massachusetts, we're having voting in a couple of weeks called Question 2. And it's not just a Massachusetts thing. As we unfold this, we're going to explain to you why this is important to everybody in the whole United States to a certain extent. So let's go, Mo. And first, let's say what is Question 2 in a nutshell, and let's go from there.
Certainly. So thank you, Paul. So Question 2 is basically a consumer protection law that has the purpose of simply expanding an existing law that exists for medical insurance. Currently, medical insurance must cover patients at an 88% medical loss ratio, which I'll define in a moment, whereas dental insurance has no requirements at all. Now, what is a medical loss ratio, and what is that? Why is that important? Right. So a medical loss ratio, in its simplest form, is a numerator and a denominator. Okay, the denominator is basically all of the insurance premiums that an insurance company has received in a year, in a fiscal year. Okay, that's the denominator. Okay, the numerator is how much of that was spent on patient care. Okay.
So my assumption as a practicing dentist and also as a consumer is I pay a certain premium, and my premiums go to the dental company, and then they pay out claims, and I just figure that that should cover everything. That they'll have nothing left at the end of the year. And that's not true at all.
Oh, that's so not true at all. In fact, we all are familiar with the not-for-profit games and the not-for-profit loopholes, and we don't often expose these anything egregious in them. We just know that they know how to skim here and there. Okay, but if you want to understand the significance of this problem, it's best to just show cases in point. Okay, in Massachusetts, the largest dental insurer is Delta Dental of Massachusetts. Delta Dental of Massachusetts, in their most recent not-for-profit form, IRS form, told us that they gave away $291 million, and this is where my props come in, okay? They gave away $291 million to their parent company that year. That year, they only spent $177 million on patient care. Okay. Now, their advertisements right now are saying, "Oh, if you vote yes on Question 2, your premiums are going to go up." But that doesn't make any sense because
not at all.
Because they're saying that they would have to charge more to insure you, but they don't have a deficiency of premiums. They have a surplus. They don't have just a little surplus.
That's a big surplus.
Have a gigantic surplus. Okay. And if patients, instead of giving this away to their parent company as literally a contribution, it would go to patients. Now, I want to talk about that contribution, and I'm going to get a little bit low tech here. Okay.
Sure.
Here's their Form 990. I'm holding it. Okay. And if I bring it up to the screen, you're going to see right here, if I can hold it still enough, the $177 million that they paid for patient care. Okay. And if I flip to the page where they made the contribution, again, I'm getting a little low tech, but if you can read that, it says one word there: contribution. Okay, $291 million. Okay,
where did that go?
To their parent company, Catalyst Institute. Okay, I'm not pretending here about this number. These are the real numbers. Okay, this is egregious, and for them to be out in the media, Paul, saying that patients' premiums are going to go up, or the cost of dentistry is going to go up, is such a lie. And we need to actually combat this lie because it's an effective lie, because the most effective lies in advertising are those ones that play on fear.
But isn't the company supposed to use the premiums for the benefit of the patients? And if they have such a surplus, why doesn't the cost of dental insurance go down, or why don't the reimbursements go higher, or percentages go higher? Why don't they do that instead of just saying, "Wow, we had a giant surplus"? I mean, that's not fair to the patients, is it?
Of course, it's not fair, and that's why our website is called fairdentalinsurance.org. It's not fair at all, and so your question as to why could be simply answered as because they can. That's it. And so whether a person is fond of regulations, more regulations or less regulations, there is a place for regulations. And when you're seeing these types of egregious activities, the only solution is to regulate them, and that's what occurs in medicine, right? Medical insurance has regulations. The medical insurance have more stringent obligations where they have to make sure these patients are getting covered and they're getting the services that they expected. And so right now in Massachusetts, medical insurers have an 88% medical loss ratio.
So is this a rule? Is this a rule or a law or a guideline?
It's a law. It's a medical loss ratio law that was enacted in 2010. And
Wow.
that exists for medical insurance.
And dentistry is a free for all.
Yes, and the state of Massachusetts for medical adjusted it up to 88%.
Wow.
In dentistry, there is no state in the nation that has a medical loss ratio, and so we're doing it. And we anticipate, it's an exciting time. We anticipate not only getting this passed in Massachusetts, but we anticipate this ricochet through the country.
Oh, sure.
For a variety of reasons. And that is, if you were to ask me, tell me about this law exactly. What are you asking for? What is the law?
Yes.
Ballot question law is basically has two parts. Okay. The first part is it established an 83% medical loss ratio for dental insurance.
You're being generous.
83%, which you may be curious as to why it's 83% and not 88%. I could answer that, but I'll just pause there.
Okay.
83%. That's the first thing it does, is it establishes that number. The second thing that it does is so important. It's important not just for our law, it's important for the country, okay? It creates a robust data reporting requirement so that every insurance plan has to provide its data showing all of its income, all of its expenses, where it all went, and how it kind of commingled with its other insurance policies. Because if we did not require that commingling information, then they could shift money around to get to a medical loss ratio. And people have said to me, oh, you're trying to get past this law, but they're going to get around it and whatever. Actually, they're not. The way that we wrote this is so robust that really we've got them tied up, and they know it.
So you're saying if it's a different type of insurance company that has homeowners insurance, auto insurance, and things like that, they can sort of slide things back and forth and take the dental part and move the money around.
It's more like dental, healthcare, medical, vision, and those types of things. They tend to be conglomerated into healthcare, but what they do is they move them around so that it's a shell game. I mean, it's all a shell game.
Yeah.
The fact that $291 million went into a different shell, right? I mean, that's an interesting game, right? You're moving this money around. It goes into Delta Dental, right? And then it's supposed to be parsed out to patients, right? But in fact, it goes like this, right? And then some shell just appears, and it went there. You lift up the shelf, $291 million. What's under Delta Dental? Nothing, because they're a not-for-profit. What's under patients? $177 million. Wait a minute. What just happened there?
So answer this question, because I've been watching the ads on both sides. And that the people who are saying that they should vote no on this say your costs, your dental care costs are going to go up. How does that? I mean, how does that make any sense?
They are able to make something out of nothing, right? And this is what magicians do, right? I have a term that I've never heard before. I kind of made it up, and I said what they do is mathemagical. That's what mathematical, right? Because that's all they do. It's mathematical, and we're going to lose if we don't make sure that we have created transparency, and we will win if we educate, right? So see, they're doing something, Paul, they're trying to convince people. Okay, I actually don't want to convince people. My objective, and I think the objective is educate. We just want to educate people.
That's all it's about.
That's all it's about. If we can effectively do that, people will make a wise consumer choice.
So question 2 basically says we're putting some, I don't even call it restrictions, we're putting in some rules that don't exist anymore at all, and saying that if I'm paying premiums into the insurance company, I want to make sure you're using 80 some odd % of my insurance premium to pay my claims. And now, if there's a surplus, do I get a rebate on my claim on my
Yes,
premium?
you do, because we built that in. That is another facet of the law. And I have to point out that another very important facet of the law that we built into it quite intentionally was that premiums are obstructed from rising. We did that. We put that in there. We put that in there because we didn't have to put that in there, right? We put that in there because there was a spirit behind what we were trying to accomplish. And if I were to describe it in one or two lines, I would say we were trying to take waste and redirect it to patient care. That's the simple spirit of it.
So let me take this a little further as a practicing dentist. So from the consumer side, if there's a surplus, there should be a discount on the next premium. That's number one. Number two, on our side, for the life of my dental career, they've only paid X number of dollars maximum per patient. They've only paid a certain percentage. So if it's now 50% for a certain thing, could you say, well, you should be paying 55% or 60% of this particular process? Is that possible?
Well, it's not only possible. Look at this number. Okay,
That's nuts.
This is a landslide impact when this goes here. Okay, and this is just this nation, this state.
Yeah, sure.
This is just this state. In a decade, where we will have shifted $1 billion into patient pockets. Okay. Now, when I say patient pockets, what I mean is that right now, corporations have the option to do whatever they want with this money. And what they've chosen is to give it away to their mother company. Okay. What question 2 does is it, as I described in a sentence, we are shifting it back to patient care. Okay. How do you shift it back to patient care? You put it in their pockets. You say you now have the potential to use this. Now, if you choose not to use it, it'll go back to you as a rebate. But it's your choice. We have moved choice from corporate executives who steal it to back to patient pockets. I mean, and we've stopped those corporate executives from raising premiums so that they can get a bigger 17% out of that 83%. We put it in there because we have a heart and a spirit that is designed around helping our patients get the care that they choose, that if they choose it, they can get it.
Brought to you by the Committee on Dental Insurance Quality.